are not just random people off the street. These are people with healthcare experience. And so these are all preparations that we had before the news yesterday. This is something that we've always been prepared for. Again, we prepare for the worst, but we're expecting the best. And the best is going to be a family-friendly march where our agenda trumps the Republicans' agenda. Our coalition has not made an endorsement either way. What I will say is that we are participating in the March on the DNC in Chicago next month, if that tells you anything. Additionally, with honestly not looking so hot right now in terms of polling and how he's been doing as a whole, it makes the threat of a Trump presidency a lot more imminent, which has actually been really good for the turnout of our march because people are starting to see Trump as a more imminent threat. No. If any, honestly, I think that question needs to be asked to the police. No, marshals in our unit. These are people that we've trained, that we've worked with over the years, and that we have a lot of trust in. Well, the last that we heard was about 2 years ago, and that the city of Milwaukee is bringing 4,500 police officers to the city of Milwaukee. We don't know how many are going to be out. We don't know their plans necessarily. We're just going to leave them to answer those questions. We are trained to de-escalate, and we are also trained to keep everyone safe and remind everyone of why exactly that we're here. Something that we've enforced at conventions of years past, right? Because for some of us, this is not our first convention. There's the St. Paul principles. And what the St. Paul principles tell us is to maintain a measure of time and space and a respect for a diversity of tactics. So if somebody has a different idea as to how to protest the RNC, we're telling them, well, don't do it during our stuff. Do it during any other time of the week, right? Because we're only doing this for one day. And so that's what we ask groups. They've always abided by that, and we have spent the past 2 years to form unity with everyone to make sure that these rules are known. And generally, these have been abided by. No, genuinely not. Honestly, I'm trying to think of how to not open a whole can of worms here, but I guess what I would say is that, their movement is already, this has been a win for them, if we're looking at it realistically, right? The way that Trump looked after that, I think it sort of reinforces the idea that he's a strong candidate. And while that's obviously not how we feel, we just don't understand why they would show up to protest when it feels like they're already in a position where they're likely to win through the election. And for us, we're going to be out here no matter what, right? Whether it's Biden that wins, whether it's Trump that wins, we're going to be out here and we're going to be advocating for our causes. And I'm going to reinforce, if they're watching this, that we have nothing to do with that. We've been planning this family-friendly march for 2 years. We all, standing here, have a really good track record here in Milwaukee of how we run protests here. And notably, it's always gone without incident. And so I would encourage them to look at our history. No changes whatsoever. We're going to proceed with the march as we were planning before. We're ready for any changes that need to be made. We expect the city to maintain their agreement. Could you repeat that question, please? I don't want to get too much into that. Honestly, I think that this whole event has been a real mess for everyone, not our march, but the RNC as a whole. I think that a lot of people in the city have been left in the dark, even people working within the city. And so honestly, it's been really eerie for us here in Milwaukee. Why would we? It has nothing to do with us. Do you condemn it? It has nothing to do with us. Yeah. We've been doing it for 2 years, and it would have been great if you recovered that. We've been doing this for 2 years. The shooting has nothing to do with us. We've been perfectly family-friendly. Look at our history. No, it has nothing to do with us. We have no comment. Well, I think Milwaukee has been feeling on edge. You know, I mean, these people came in and took over our city, I mean, without really asking anyone for permission except for our sellout leadership. You know, we're happy that we have a permitted, not a permitted route, but an agreement with the city to march on the route within sight and sound of the Pfizer Forum. But ultimately, a lot of people have been kind of left in the dark, and, you know, we empathize with that lack of transparency. This is not something that's been uncommon for the city. As I mentioned, a lot of us have been organizing in the city of Milwaukee for a while, and this lack of transparency is very typical.
Let's introduce other speakers.
Yeah, just, tomorrow's only March. I have no idea. Yeah, we haven't heard anything.
You say the route's not permitted.
We not receive a permit from the city, but we have reached an agreement with the city about where we're going to be marching.
Is that going to be problematic not having a permit?
No. At this point, we're going to hear from some of our other speakers that are representing some of our points of unity. You know, as a coalition, you know, I'm able to talk about things a little bit more generally, but I think it's important for people here to understand what some of our movements are fighting for. And so up next, I'm going to be calling Alan Chavoya, who organizes with the Milwaukee Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alan Chavoya. I'm the Outreach Chair of the Milwaukee Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. As you can tell by the name, that's something we organize against racist and political repression, something that we're anticipating and something that we gained a lot of experience in 2020 when we marched on the DNC. And so we have a lot of experience there of how to deal with a heavy police presence. We have a lot of experience dealing with heavy police presence in Milwaukee and black and brown neighborhoods. So this isn't anything new. And we have a lot of confidence from the people in Milwaukee. When you go around to black and brown communities in Milwaukee and talk about policing and talk about those of us who take a stand against it, it is the Milwaukee Alliance, and they recognize that, and they have a lot of trust in us to keep them safe when we are marching at these types of events. So I'm happy to take any questions around policing or anything in general, but that's what I'll be talking about. Thank you.
Up next, we're going to be hearing from Adari with Students for a Democratic Society Milwaukee. These folks had a great experience with hosting the encampment at UW Milwaukee, again, notably without incident. So I think we're going to hear a lot of good things. Thank you.
Hello all, I'm Aldari Tamayo. I'm the co-chair of the Students for a Democratic Society at UW Milwaukee. And we've been excited to march on the RNC since it was announced. We have members of the Students for a Democratic Society from our chapter taking on leading roles in this march, taking on leading roles in the Medic Committee and the Marshal Committee. We're ready to keep this a safe march, just like our encampment was safe without incident. Our encampment itself was family friendly. We had a kids corner, we had teachings going on, you know, all day and all night. We had toddlers, we had elderly there. So if our encampment that lasted over 2 weeks is any example that we can keep something safe without the need of a police intervention, then I don't know what is. You know, as students, we know that Republicans are at the leading edge of attacks on our education, attacks on our trans and LGBTQ siblings. We know Republicans are at the leading edge of, you know, being at the more warmongers of, you know, the two-party system. So we're ready to march on them. We're ready to march on the DNC. Tomorrow we're expecting students from across the nation to join us. We have students right now from Denver, from Florida, from San Jose, from Los Angeles, from Seattle. So we're ready to, you know, build a large coalition as we haven't for the last 2 years and march on the RNC and let them know that the students are not going to stand behind anything what the Republicans stand for. And we made that clear. Republicans are not welcome in this city. They're not welcome anywhere that, you know, people stand for justice. And that's what the Students for Democratic Society stands for. You know, the Republicans are the antithesis to democracy. We fight for a democratic society. It's in our name, and we're here to mean that. AUDARITAMAYO. Yep, UW Milwaukee.
We're just going to be hearing from one or two more people. Up next, I'm going to be calling up Sarah, who organizes with the Milwaukee Anti-War Committee, which has had a pivotal role here in Milwaukee in fighting for a free Palestine. So let's give it up for Sarah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sarah Onitska. I'm the chair of the Milwaukee Anti-War Committee. As Omar said, we've been primarily fighting for the Stand for Palestine point of unity with this coalition. We're really excited to march on the RNC as well. We really think that even though we've been doing a lot of work, you know, fighting the Democrats because they're currently in office around Palestine, We also really want to show up against the Republicans. More recently, even in the last 24 hours, we've had hundreds of Palestinians injured and killed. We have, U.S. Funding being used to bomb people over in Palestine as well. And we know that the Republicans will be no different. Trump said so himself in the debate when he said that he thought that Joe Biden was being too soft when it comes to the genocide in Palestine. And so I can take any questions around that, but thank you all so much. Sarah, S-A-R-A, Onitska, O-N-I-T-S-U-K-A.
Thank you, Sarah. Up next, we're going to be hearing from Katie with Reproductive Justice Action Milwaukee. Believe me, they've been busy here in Wisconsin because of all the Republican attacks against reproductive health care.
Hello, my name is Katie Petralia. I'm with Reproductive Justice Action Milwaukee. We are marching with the Coalition to March on the RNC because the Republican Party are the main, enemies of abortion access around the country. We're the main leaders of getting the court packed and then having Roe v. Wade overturned in 2022. So we've been fighting ever since that happened to restore abortion access in Wisconsin. Even though it is back to services here, there's only 4 clinics in the whole state. So we're really fighting to expand access because abortion is health care and we want people to have reproductive justice. Reproductive justice, I'll go into the definition, it means the right to have children, the right to not have children, and the right to raise those children in safe and sustainable communities. We feel the Republicans stand everything against safe and sustainable communities. They're pushing against LGBTQ rights. They're pushing against women's rights. They're pushing against everything. So we want to stand up and fight with our friends here. Thank you.
Up next, we're going to be hearing from a very strong fighter from the immigrant rights movement who has been in it for a minute, more of a veteran than most of us, Carlos Montes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carlos Montes. I'm the son of immigrants from Mexico. I came to the United States as a 6-year-old boy. I flew in from Los Angeles, California last night. So rain or shine, we're going to be marching to protest the RNC tomorrow. I am a member of the Legalization for All network. We have people coming from Texas, from California, from the Midwest, from Florida that will be marching tomorrow to demand legalization for all. We are also here to condemn the reactionary and racist Republican agenda, but specifically Trump's hate speech against immigrants, especially immigrants from Mexico and from Latin America. So again, immigrants will be marching tomorrow to denounce the Trump hate speech. Thank you very much. All right.
And up next, we're going to be hearing from Piper, who is one of the leaders in our labor contingent at the march. So give it up for Piper, everyone.
Hello, thank you. My name is Piper Hogan. I'm speaking on behalf of the labor contingent of the Coalition to March on the RNC. And as member of the labor contingent, I feel it's vitally important for union members all across of Milwaukee to realize the importance of being part of this coalition and marching on the RNC. Because while the RNC stands for exclusion and hate and corporate greed, unions stand for solidarity and hope and better lives for the working class. And we've seen the disastrous effects of the Republican agenda in our states. We've seen right-to-work laws. We've seen Act 10. We've seen the weakening of the National Labor Relations Board. And these are things that we know that we have to raise our voices and organize and stand in solidarity with each other to make sure that workers in Milwaukee are getting the quality of life that they deserve, because we know that it takes so much more than just showing up on polling day. It takes organizing in our workplaces and organizing in the community as well. So yes, I am available to answer questions about how unions relate to this march. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for speaking and advocating for the causes that you're here to fight for. If anyone has questions for any of those speakers or for myself, now is the time for them. No. We're not. I'm sorry. We're just not going to endorse anyone. That's not our job. The part of I'll expand. I'm sorry if I sound a little rude. So the thing here is that, what we're trying to emphasize here is that direct action is necessary and direct action works, right? We're never going to vote our way out of this, and believe me, there's already a lot of organizations out there that are pushing the vote, right? That are telling people vote Biden, get Trump out, and we're not going to denounce people from doing that. But what we're saying is that, that alone cannot win what we're trying to win, right? If we just sat in our butts at home, if we just said that, we're just going to let the Republicans come here and do whatever they're going to do, we never would have reached an agreement with the city. We got to the point, and we organized to the point where they had no choice but to give us an agreement. Biden didn't do that. The Democrats didn't do that. We did. We did. And so I just want to be clear that an endorsement is a very unimportant question for us, because we're here talking about direct action and how necessary that is.
Yeah. We got a hand on the right over there.
Yes.
Under executive order signed in May by Governor Evers, the city of Milwaukee is under a state of emergency until the end of the RNC, under which National Guard from all 50 states are invited to be mobilized and brought to Milwaukee. The Milwaukee police have not told us and have refused to tell us under claiming security which states are sending National Guard or how many. You guys have a clean record in states before your protesters have dealt with National Guard in the past, especially coming in from other states. How do you anticipate them being different from that level?
We have unfortunately dealt with the National Guard, and I'll hand this off to our person that works specifically against police crimes. But as somebody that was on the ground in Kenosha and saw how things sort of dissolved there, it turned into a really nasty situation. That is definitely in part because the National Guard was there. We wholly denounced the fact that Governor Evers had called out the National Guard to our family protests. This will only escalate a situation. This is not helping a situation. We would encourage them not to even come. And so after that, we'll hear from Alan.
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Part of this, too, I think should be answered by MPD. Chief Norman has gone on the record to say that this is going to be house rules of Milwaukee. So anything about Milwaukee should go through Milwaukee. This shouldn't be, other forces are going to come in and do whatever they want. We have worked directly, dealt with this, as Omar said, in Kenosha, in Wauwatosa, so we have a lot of experience and a good track record in dealing with this level of policing or militarization of our city. And so we, like as Omar has stated, we're planning for the worst, but we're anticipating the best. And like I said, this should be ran through Milwaukee. It shouldn't be outside forces coming in and dictating what happens in our city. So if Chief Norman is true to his word, he will make sure that the National Guard doesn't do anything to us. He makes sure that all the other law enforcement agencies don't do anything to us, because we have this agreement with MPD. So thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Is there any other questions at this point in time? All right. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. All of us are, well, not all of us, but those of us who spoke are available for any questions that you might have after. Feel free to talk with us. Thank you. And also, we do have Spanish speakers here. So if you need a Spanish speaker, just let us know. Yeah, it's OMAR FLOR, yes. I am the co-chair of the Coalition to March on the RNC.
All right, yeah. That was a political.
Cast a big shadow right when you got out the way. I was like, geez, I felt that heat coming on to me.
Sahrawi refugee camp from Western Sahara. The U.S. backed invasion of Morocco in the 1970s. Anyway, he didn't give it to me when I convention. Like stuff dangling off of it. Oh, no. Glad it worked out.